sure everything's working. Alright, there we go. Well, welcome to our live stream today. Today we're going to be doing background studies and also color studies as well on my pencil. So the purpose of today's stream is to replicate different background pictures that we find and then just really stylize them and just have fun with colors. So the reason for this being is that I'm a comic book artist and I want to improve my ability to draw backgrounds quick but also clear and easy to understand only using geometric shapes. So first thing I like to do is just get a rectangle and just create a little square. Might actually do this a random color. And so then we're going to let's start with the house actually. So we're just going to create a little white square. Alright, there we go. Let me create a proper layer first for this. Alright, so this is going to be the kind of base layer, the screen layer. Let me call this the base. And then we're going to get started on the house. Now we're not too worried about the shapes and having the the perspective down accurately. It's more so just making sure it's a clear and easy to read background with just geometric shapes, no flat lines or line art, just shapes and colors. So I found this one on Pinterest and I really love the use of yellow and white. So I actually have a few ideas on how I'm gonna go about this. Alright, so let's start with yellow. For this, let me we have 4 views on, so feel free to say hi. So here, feel like I need to crop this a bit. There we go, that's better. I'm also going to make this just a little bit taller. Alright. There we go. Now let's see what's next. I noticed a little indentation here on this right here. So I'm going to try to replicate that using a rectangle like this. Let me even it out a bit. Let me move this. Let me know how the music is, if the music's too loud or too low. Let me know down in the chat. Let me clip this. So normally what I like to do is, before really adding all of the fine details like the sign here or a light post, I just like to really get all of the base shapes down, and even if they're not necessarily the exact same color, I just like plotting everything out first, where everything should go, and then once I have that down, then work on the details and colors and textures. So, let me, what's next? I notice this is kind of like a mix of orange and yellow, but for the time being, let's just go with same roof color. So, how's everyone's day been so far? Had not too bad of a day. I just had some technical difficulties before getting started on the stream, but everything's working now and we're good to go. So, alright, so for this I might try something like this. This is just temporary. I think it needs to be more yellow. This rectangle here needs to be a bit more yellow, but it'll be temporary. But actually, might make this yellow and this orange. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. Let me see. Let me group this as the awning. How do you spell that? Yeah. So, let's see, what's next? Let me try the door. Now again, this practice isn't, the purpose of this isn't to get it exactly like the image, just to get the overall feel down using just shapes and colors. And I like to limit myself to the CMYK color palette. So this is the same colors that Jack Kirby used and a lot of old comic books use, using blue, cyan, magenta, and one other color. So with those 4 colors, I limit myself to just these 64 colors. So that works out well, even though 64 you might think that's a lot. In all honesty, it's really not compared to the infinite amount of colors we normally have on the color wheel. But what's good about this is that because they're all made from the same 4 colors, they all are very harmonious and go really well together. That's normally why in my comic book or any artwork I use, I just stick to those 64 colors. Alright, so now we have the door. Let me do a black rectangle. I feel like I need to crop some of this off. There we go. Yeah, that works. Let's group this together as the door. Alright, what's this here? Noticing a little bench. So let's try this. Orange, color fill. Little bench. I want to add some perspective to this, so let's duplicate there, crease it a little bit. Let me just change the color just so I can know which one is which. And then to create perspective, I usually just duplicate a flat rectangle, and then I'll just add some 45-degree angles on the corner, and then that instantly adds some perspective right there compared to just a flat 2D rectangle. So there's that. Now I notice little stands there. That looks gray, so let's try that. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so let's separate this into the bench. Okay, so what's next? We have that. Let's start with the window. So for this, I'm gonna just do a black. Actually, let me do where's the window start and end? Black, and then add some brown, a little brown trim for the window still. Then clip this on. Yeah, that looks perfect. Alright. Now let's add the window itself. Okay, so and then For the time being, let's just add some gray just to temporarily fill this in. That's angle. It's 3 divided. 3 little window. I feel like I need to angle this out just a little bit more. There we go. Alright. Let's group this together and make this the... Or actually, let's group all 4 of these and name it the window. Alright. I'm gonna slide the bench and the window just over to the left just a little bit, so that way there's more space for the signs. Then let me move the door as well, so it has a bit more space to breathe. Let's work on the chairs. This one I'm seeing is orange. Let me do a little rectangle. And another rectangle. And then let's just add, I know these are a bit more angly. Yeah, they angle out a bit more, but for the sake of this, we're just gonna have them be straight legs. Let me adjust this a little bit. Oh, whoops. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna shrink this down just a little bit more, because these chairs fit underneath the bench but go out onto the outer pavement a little bit more. So there you go, that's better. Let me try that. So we have the legs down now. We need to also make some dimensions, give it a little bit more depth. So let's change this here. Yeah, let's try this. So same thing, we're going to just grab the select tool and do a little 45-degree cut on the corner, and that will instantly give it more more dimension. And we do the same thing here, and then we'll do the 45-degree cut right here. There we go. And then we'll just chop this little excess piece off right here. So now we instantly have a little bit more depth. So I want to move this back here so you can see the stand for the back of the chair. And then let me add a bit more of this. There we go. Now same thing, because we added depth to the seat of a chair, now we have to add a little bit of depth to the back of the chair. So to do that, we're simply going, well, yeah, we could just add another box behind, or in front of it really, and do this, change the color, there we go. Erase this section, And then same thing, we're going to actually, let's cut and paste this and change this to the same color. Select it and then remove this all together and show the layer. Alright, let me chop this corner off. Alright. There we go. So now we have a chair. I'm gonna add a little bit. Yeah. This needs more depth here. Oh. This area, not sure if you can see it, these need more depth as well, so that's next. There we go. Alright. And add this by just simply drawing another rectangle. There we go. Alright, so right there we have a three-dimensional chair, which before we added more dimension looked just like this, and then you add it all back. There you go. So now we're going to group all this together. Let's name this chair 1. Then we're going to duplicate it and name this chair 2. Oop. And then we're just going to scoot this over just a little bit. So even though this chair is orange, or actually this chair is orange here in the picture, and this one's yellow, and here they're the same color. Right now, again, I'm not too worried about the colors. I'm more so focused on getting the shape down. Then we'll change this chair into a more yellow to match the reference here. So let's see, what can we work on next? Let's work on the bushes, or these little potted plants. So for this, let's just do, and okay, let's do an orange little pot. Looks like the pipes from Mario, but we'll fix that now. Yeah, there you go. I want to make this a little bit bigger because it looks a bit too narrow. So, perfect. And then we'll fill this area in. We'll fill the little gap. Let me fix the little pixel errors. Alright. There we go. So now we have one pot. Let me, again, just add a little temporary mist color just to give it some depth. Clip this on. And then okay. That looks along the lines of this color. So for this, instead of using rectangles, I'm just gonna freehand scribble the little tree for the time being. Okay. So I actually need to move this so it's under the bench. Right, so let me actually, there we go. And then let's do the same thing. Let's create a lighter flower pot using this as the base color. Oh. Color filter. Okay. Angle this a little bit. This one's a bit too tall, so I want to shrink this down a bit. then stretch it if possible, but I feel like that might distort it. So we're going to do the same thing, chop it in half and move it over just a little bit. Are you going to draw the background too, or just the house? No, I'm going to draw the background, everything in it. I just want to focus on what's in the foreground first and then work on the background next. So we're going to be also adding the power lines in, which is going to be fun. I have a brush in mind that I want to do for that. So right now we're just doing the basic shapes, and then we're going to fill everything in afterwards. So there we go. It'll work for now. Let me actually place it. Alright. Then same thing. We're gonna just freehand the tree. Slide this over a bit. Now let me raise this up just so slightly, and then I want to actually push some just a little bit closer. Alright, so this we're going to call this pot 2, and then I'm going to call this one pot 1. Alright, so now I want to focus on drawing this little stand. So that we're gonna use what color is that? I feel like that could be this color. Let's just use this brown for the time being. I'm running out of space here. Okay. Oh. That's a little stand, or yeah. Alright. Okay. Now we're gonna add the legs real quick. Whatever legs go. Okay. The legs end at the same vanishing, or the same line point as the flower pot right here. So I have to remove this. And then let's actually make this a little bit taller, because it's a bit too short for my taste. There we go. Alright, and then I noticed a little indentation here, so I'm gonna do that by just grabbing this orange for the time being, filling this, and then clipping it onto here. Let me erase it. And then we're gonna move this to behind the flower pots. Alright, so I wanna duplicate these two a bit. I mean, with the roof. Alright. So we're gonna scoot this over just a little bit, and then scoot this as well. Yeah, fine. Then we're gonna merge all these layers down, and then we're gonna start by moving the door over, so we have a bit more space to work with. And then we're gonna move the stand as well, just ever so slightly. And again, it's not super accurate, but we're not going for accuracy, just for the general idea. Alright, so now let's work on just the little signs. See a little cyan sign here. Add this next to the awning. I see a little light, I'm assuming, here. Then a little brown rectangle right underneath it. And then another brown sign with a small one underneath it. And then I see a more cream-based sign, so let's go with, let's roll with this color. And then since the signs are currently overlapping the awning, we're going to move this underneath. Then we'll rename this signs. Alright. What's next? Alright. I'm noticing an umbrella here in this corner. It looks like also a little purse. Let's draw that in real quick. For this, we can just freehand it. We don't need a rectangle per se. I feel like I can do a bit better. Add the handle. And let's also add a little strap, which will make this orange. We'll make this orange as well. And we're gonna add the little indentations here of where the umbrella is being squeezed by the band. Actually, need to be a bit higher up. Move this here. Squish this down just a little bit. So we'll group this as umbrella. I'm not going to include the purse because I feel like it's just going to visually clutter this corner right here. This corner right here, so I'm just going to leave that out. Now we have the basic of the front center building down. So I'm going to group everything together here. We're going to call the building one, I don't know. Alright, so now let's work on this little sign right here. This one's going to be fun because it's on a bit of an angle. So what is this? This is the top of this is roughly in line with the middle of the chair headrest or backrest stands. So put this on here. Yeah, it's about accurate. Then we're going to erase this little corner or segment. And then let's also erase this. And then for this, we're just gonna duplicate this, push it back, fill this a gray color, just to give it some depth. Same thing, we're gonna chop off the corner here and here. And then I want to clip a white box right here. Because if you notice, you can see that there's a line here separating the legs and the sign itself. Actually, there's also one here, so I'm gonna remove that. There you go. And then we'll just leave this here for now. Alright, so now let's get started on the street. So, I think this color is probably the close. Oh yeah, that's almost perfect. So we're just gonna add a little bit of a bumpy terrain. And we're gonna click this over. And what's the best color for here? Yeah, I would say this gray. Yeah, this gray probably fits the best. Go back here and perfect. Alright. Oh, how did I miss this pipe? Alright. So, we're gonna call it the pavement. Oh, okay, guess not. Alright. Let's get started on the pipe here. Instead of curving it, I'm just gonna make it a really angly pipe. Give it a little bit of style and character. Let's name this pipe. Now, there's a dead plant here, so we're gonna do the same thing we did for the flower pot and just get a rectangle, shape it, and then add the dead plant. This is just straight up yellow. So, I'm gonna add a rectangle. We're gonna shape it off a little bit. Perfect. Alright. So I can see which color would be best for this. No, it's a bit more. Let's just stick with brown for right now. Just draw some twigs. And then we'll just leave it at that for the time being. Alright. So, what's next? Work on some of the background objects here. So, see a white, almost trailer looking thing, so let's add a rectangle. Goes right behind the tree. Cut right here. looks like cement pavers are holding the beam up, so try this. And then we're going to get our dark gray and just color this in. And then let's cut this right here. Then to give it a bit of depth, we're gonna add a rectangle right about here. Shave this. There we go. I want to do the same thing here. I'm noticing an indentation, so I'm going to draw a square right here, fill it in, and then we're going to, let me turn off auto select. We're going to select this, or select it, and we're going to mask it so it automatically erases everything outside of what we wanted to, I guess, copy, or the shape we wanted to imitate. So there we go, that's good for the time being. Then behind, I'm noticing looks like an apartment building, so let's get let's go with this color. Add a bit of white for the windows. Doesn't have to be perfect or even the same shape really, just to get the overall idea down. And then the lighter red. There's a bit more orange to that, but we're just gonna roll with it. Alright, so now let's work on this building right here. So the first thing I'm noticing is a lot of dark blue, almost blue with a little bit of green in it. So this color right here is probably the closest match. So we're gonna experiment with that a little bit. Let's bring it to here. There we go. And then for the window, we're just gonna let's try blue. And then just draw some rectangle. How many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's a bigger one. Hold on. Alright. Then there's a brick rectangle here. So let's try the same color as the street and see if it works. This goes slightly above. Oh, not that above. Let's try this. Let's raise this a little bit because it's a bit too tall. Then bring it down. Alright, so and I'm noticing also a little ledge right here. Oh. So we're gonna implement that by just drawing a little red rectangle right here. Where's the building? So now see how this cuts on an angle right here? We're gonna imitate that by erasing this yellow roof a little bit to give it a bit more depth, so then we can connect the building, or the corner of the building, so that way it has way more dimension and doesn't look way too like flat. So let's chop this right here. Invert. I like to use mask instead of erasing, because then if I need to go back to this, I don't have to hit back or hit the undo button a billion times. Versus here, if I don't like the angle, I just grab white with the mask and then I just draw it back in. So that's why usually you'll see me use the mask way more than I do the erase button. It just saves a lot of time and helps if there's a mistake I need to correct, and it allows me to easily fix it. So let's go right here, add some white. And then I'm gonna chop this right here and remove this. I'm also gonna remove the corner of the building. Not sure how much I like it. Alright, let's grab this and squish it together just a little bit, like so. Okay, that's fine. Alright. See, this is why we have math, so I can easily fix this. Oops. I'll explain what was wrong with it in a moment. Alright, so the reason why the corner of that roof looked a bit odd was because I was drawing it as a straight line like this. Right? But if you notice, that's not how this roof is shaped. The roof is shaped like this, and then there's a little box on top, which I didn't see at first. So then what I did was, I can't quite see it, but I added the angle, and then there's a straight 90-degree line right here. So yeah, so to fix that, let me go to the roof a little bit and add this in. There we go. You like my, oh, thank you. God, the music too loud? Can you tell us a bit more about your comic book? Sure, so my comic book is Tulip. It's about a 15-year-old superhero who she accidentally gets powers, and then she just stumbles upon a big conspiracy as far as the superhero in that world. And so it's just a coming-of-age story that I've always wanted to do. Oh, wow, my computer battery is low. Let me actually plug it in. I will be right back. Alright, we're back. Sorry, my computer was slow and it didn't notify me at all until it was about to die. But yeah, so that's what the comic book is about. It's Also, just me implementing a lot of things that I find wrong, or not wrong, but I personally don't like too much about the comic book industry, which is how stories are told. Um, for example, one thing that really bugs me is just that there's you get so invested into a run, whether it's Marvel or DC, and then after a year or a few years, then you're back to square one. They do completely new writing teams on the same character, new artists, and it's very hit or miss a lot of times. And that's one thing that I wanted to do differently with my comic book. It's just one same story, I'm same writer, same artist, and it starts at issue 1, and then you just pick up from there, versus with modern comic books, especially X-Men, for example, you have to read issue number 47 from like 1980s to understand why Nightcrawler doesn't like jelly on his danishes. So it's very complicated and there's always a billion and one reboots and crises happening in comic books. So that's something I wanted to do differently. Like a lot of indie comics, just you start from issue number 1 and then you just go from there. There's no tie-ins, you have to read this run, you have to read this other comic book to understand it. There's none of that. So that's one thing I really like and I'm proud of with it, because there's not too many mainstream comic books that do that. A lot of indie comics do, but the big two don't really tend to do that too much nowadays. So now, alright, so I think we have all of the main objects in the fore and background done. So now let's change the background, turn the pencil on, and then yeah, exactly. And then there's the multiverse now, which makes things even more complicated, because then there'll be 8 billion different versions of same characters, different universes, which is fine. I love the multiverse. I'm a huge fan of it, of the concept, but sometimes it's used way too much and it's not explained properly. So you'll have like 6 different versions of the same character in one universe. So like Spider-Man, for example, there's currently at least 6 Spider-Men running around New York in current Spider-Man comic because of time travel, multiverse, cloning. So it gets hard to keep. It's hard for new readers to get into because there's so much you have to know, instead of just starting from issue 1 and just reading at your own pace. So yeah, that's a good point. So now let's get started on the sky. We have most of the main objects down. So I want to see which blue color matches the sky the most, because these are all very... Oh, actually that's fun. Yeah, I'm gonna roll with this. So now we're gonna change this here. Okay. One detail I'm noticing I forgot real quick is this underside of the roof, which I'm gonna include that now. Where would I? Yeah, throw it in here. Oh, no problem. Happy to explain, and feel free to ask any other Tulip or comic book related questions. Alright, let's separate this into white or gray, actually. And let's do dark gray just for the sake of the thing. There we go. Yeah, see, that simply adds, that little detail adds a lot more depth to it. And then I'm gonna move this under the pipe. Yeah. Alright, so underside of roof. So now I don't want to get started on the power line yet because that's going to be one of the last things I do. So let's, how many layers am I on? 89, so let's group all of this together. And we're going to call this step 1. Because now that we have everything down, hope this doesn't break my iPad. Now that we have everything down, it's time to really fix all of the colors and work on the textures, lighting, and shape. So this is where we'll go from it being a flat image like this to something with way more depth. So where would you start with this? Okay. Alright, so where's the building? So for this, I'm gonna add white in. There we go. I'm gonna darken this just a little bit, ever so slightly. Actually, I might just put this up here to give it that depth. And then while we're here, actually we can't do that yet. This is the building right now. So, get started on the roof a little bit. Not sure how much I like that. Let's grab this color. See if I can mix this a little better. Alright, let's. Oh, that's fine. So sometimes I like to just manually mix colors if I can't find the best. If there's not a specific shade of color I need, I will just grab two colors. For instance, this orange and this yellow that's still within the 64 color palette, and then I'll mix them. I'll blend both of them together. Then I will just grab the color that's right in the middle, and then let's see how that looks. There we go. It looks a bit too dark in my opinion, but let's roll with it for the time being. Alright, so the roof. And this is going to be yellow, and then there's going to be some white on top. We're not going to clip this because the white part sticks up a little bit. See how it's not flush? It comes out just a little bit. So we're going to imitate that by not clipping it onto the roof, because otherwise it would look like this versus that extra bit of dimension. Then let me extend it. Perfect. Alright. Let's see if I can add some texture to the roof. brush would be good for this. How's this stuff? Oh. This could work. Not 100% sold on it. Try something else. Alright, let's try fever again. Alright. Let's mess with the curve a little bit. Alright. There you go, that's better. And then the only issue is it looks a bit too orangey, so let me see what I can do to fix that. That's yellow. Saturate the there we go. Now for this, let's lighten this. And we're gonna offset it just a little bit. See what we can do with this. There you go, so that's a bit of texture, not 100%, but it's close enough. And then let's just add some white strips real quick. There we go. Alright, so that's the roof down. Let me group all this together. Might still add a bit of texture. Let me add a bit of a underside to it. There we go. Alright. Let's go with the banner next. Man, my pencil is glitching out today. Alright, so same thing. Kind of like this color. That's nice. Alright. Then let's add a bit of white to separate the two and give it a little bit of curve. What layer mode can we do? Yeah, that's nice. And then under it, oh wow, hit layer limit. Let me see what I can combine real quick. There we go. Remove. Alright, so then for this, let's add this little rectangle right here. And then for metallic objects, what I like to do is, I like to darken one underside of it, so in this case underside, and then the top part, or the part that's receiving light, I like to lighten it slightly, and that easily gives it that metallic curve. See? It easily gives it that curve, and if you want to take it a step further, you can even add a little bit of noise. And there you go. You have metal. So, what's next? Let's work on the bench. Then for wood, what I like to do is kind of similar. I like to lighten it to about that. Yeah, that's about right. Then what I'll do is I will actually add a little lighter strip. Lighten it to give it that nice beveled edge. Lower the opacity just slightly. Then I'll combine them down. Give it some noise. And then sometimes I'll increase the saturation just a little bit or decrease it depending on what's needed, but I think that's, yeah, it's about right. And then for these, I might just make them pure black or there we go. Maybe not pure black. Lighten it up. Alright. There we go. So now we have the bench done. Let's compare real quick to what step 1 looked like. Big difference, right? So you can instantly see that just those few little tweaks have added a lot more texture and depth and really brought it to life. Looking good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So now, what should we work on? Let's work on the benches. Or the chairs. Alright. I'm gonna make this the same color. Alright, so before I do that, I wanna mix the colors a little bit. So this is the base color. This is going to be the lighter color. Where's the light coming from? And then this is going to be the lightest shade. Or actually, make this the darker shade. darkest color is going to be everything underneath. Getting distracted. Let's try. Oh, edit that off. Okay. There you go. All right. Actually, this would be this color right here. Perfect. So I want to fix this a little bit. And there we go. Again, let's compare to what it looked like before versus now. Before, after. Before, after. So, taking shape. Now let's do the same thing for the yellow chair. Let's get all of the yellows we have. Yeah. Yellow. There you go. However, I want this to be the mid-tone, so yellow is a very hard color to mix because I don't understand why, but see, in this case, you mix it a little bit, you darken it, and it becomes green. So it's very hard to get anything darker than the brightest shade of yellow, which in this case is this. So you have to kind of play around with it until you get a color that you like. Try this. There we go. That's much better. Now we're gonna do the same thing that we did with chair 1. We're gonna repeat the same thing for chair number 2 and just change out the colors, color swap the different corners so that way the lighting matches. So in this case, the light seems to be coming from this side. So all of the lighter tones are going to be right here, and then because of this awning here, because of the awning right here, then it's casting everything here in shadows. So that's something to keep in mind. That's why this area is much darker than here, because this area is covered in darkness and this is where the light is coming from. If that makes sense. Alright, so put the the lighter colors. That's gonna be this one. Actually, that's a bit too light. There we go. I'm gonna fill this yellow. Cover that. There you go. Alright. Change it. There we go. I'm not sure how much I like it. I feel like it's a bit too bright. So let's just throw this in temporarily. See what a multiply layer will do. Or a color burn in this case. card brush. Much better. Alright, so let's compare. Oh wow, yeah, that's a huge difference. Holy cow. Alright, so sticking with that. Alright, so the chairs are now done. Now let's do the tree pots real quick. Again, I'm gonna manually mix the colors because I really like both shades of orange and brown, so I want to see if I can get a middle ground between the two. Mix this real quick. Then, there we go. Actually, that could probably work in of itself. Alright, so. Alright. So to make anything look like it's curved, you want to first select the corners, darken them just slightly, and then you want to grab the corners again, but leave a bit of space between the lightest point and the area you're about to darken. So then you're going to gradually just keep getting further and further away from the center until, let's see if I can get this working, until it's darker. See, and now you have a curve. You can even add a little bit of light in the center if you want. There we go. And then you're going to do the same thing for the bottom of the pot. So with this, you're going to angle it. So invert this. Darken slightly. Invert it again, then you're gonna darken it just a bit more. And keep going. I like to do this about 2 or 3 times. Gives it that nice rounded look. And there you go. And then we're going to lighten this just a slight bit. Like so. It's looking good, but it doesn't match. The colors don't match, so I can easily fix that by going right here and darkening it and setting it to color mode. Then add a bit of shadow. Saturate. There you go. I feel like it looks a bit too photorealistic. Almost looks like I just pasted it in, but we'll just roll with it for the time being. And then for the tree, I have some brushes for this. It's gonna be organic. Then I notice there's a bit of a gradient. It goes from dark to light. So I'm gonna light the edge of a tree just a little bit. Oh. I'm gonna clip this. Alright, I wanna add just a little bit of yellow, maybe even orange. A little bit. Then I wanna little bit of shadow too, so let's try this sword grass brush. Now let's set this to color burn. There we go. That looks so much better. Like so. Now I add just a little bit more light. Change the color a little bit. And there you go. So again, let's compare to what step one looks like. Again, very big difference. So I'm gonna shape off the tree a little bit, but I think it'll be fine. So now let's repeat the same thing, but for pot number 2. So let's grab this color. Actually, oh yeah, I like that. So same thing. We're going to start with the center and gradually darken outwards. Darken this slightly. Add a little bit of a light. Same thing. Slowly work our way outwards and gradually darken it. There we go. Lighten. There you go. Perfect. One thing I want to do though, round off the bottoms a little bit so it has a bit more dimension and doesn't look like it's just flat and sitting there. There you go. Much better. Now, same thing with the tree and amount of layers. Combine this down. Let's start with this one. Yeah, that'll work. Go back to working. And let's add some shadow. now we have both parts done. Again, let's compare. Much better. Not sure if you can see all of the subtle differences, but much better, even in the roof. So I will be right back. Give me 1 second. Alright, there we go. We're back. So we're just gonna work a little bit more, and then we're gonna call it a day in a bit. But right now, let's see. Let's work on the door just a little bit. Okay. Alright, so one thing I'm noticing is the hinges of the door. The hinges of the door frame here and here. And I'm noticing that there's also a darker edge along the door frame, so let's try to see how we can do that. First, with door frames, I like to just draw a little rectangle. Draw a little rectangle on the sides. Give it that. And I like to have it overlap both the wall and the door, so it gives that dimension. It doesn't look like it's just a weird rectangle on the side of on the edge of the door. So pushing it out gives it more depth and will really sell the look like it's a door hinge. But now invert it. Oh. Invert it. Darken it slightly. Then for the black of the door, alright, so I'm going to start painting vertical streaks. Lighten it. So this is also how I add wood texture. I will draw lighter streaks of the same color of the wood, and I'll blend it, but not fully, but enough so you can still see the line, but it's blended in just a slight bit more. There we go. Let me add a bit more here. Just a little bit more. Perfect. Then I'll clip this onto the door. Might lighten it just a slight bit more. Then I'll do the same thing we did earlier, where I add just a little bit of noise. Actually, wait, before I do that, I'll set this to a blend mode. Should I have this pure white? Yeah, why not? So now I merge it down, add just a slight bit of noise. And for this, I want to decrease the saturation slightly. Then I want to change the color to a bit more of an orange. Brown like this. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I like that. So we're gonna finish up the door and then we're gonna call it a day because I gotta go eat some lunch. For window reflections or any kind of glass, it's really fun because you can just draw whatever random shapes and colors, like so. Let me give you an example here. Could even add a little bit of blue, so dark blue. Then you just clip it onto the door, or the glass reflective surface. Then you just lower the opacity to whatever you like most. And yeah, that looks good. And then I'll merge it down. Then sometimes I'll just draw white lines to indicate glass smudges. Then I'll just kind of blend it in just a little bit. Clip the layer. Oh, there you go. Clip the layer. And then just turn down the opacity. And then I'm going to add a bit of an indentation to indicate that this is that the glass goes in. So we're gonna just do this by lightening around just ever so slightly. Actually, there we go. Perfect. So let's compare before we end the stream. And let's look at step 1 or step 2 versus where we were about 30 minutes ago. So before, after. So it's really taking shape. And these are just all of the steps that you have to do that I personally like to do to make sure I have backgrounds that look good, but I also don't have to go and draw every single individual line for my comic book because I'm on a time budget, I'm on a time crunch, I'm on deadline, so I can't be drawing every single individual line. So that's why I take a lot of inspiration from concept artists from Spider-Verse, where they're able to really do a beautiful design, beautiful background and illustration with just flat color, no black lines. So hopefully you found some of this helpful, and make sure to subscribe to my channel to be notified on the next stream where we'll be finishing this up and hopefully working on